Parallel lines are those lines that do not intersect, and from the equations they have the same slope. Perpendicular lines intersect at 90 degrees and they're going to have opposite reciprocal slopes. So we'll do an example of each and graph them to see this. An example of parallel lines is y equals -1/2 x minus 5 and y equals -1/2 x plus 3. Let's graph this first line. And now the second line. And we can see that these two lines are parallel and that they do have the same slope. So having the same slope will make the lines parallel. Now let's do an example of perpendicular lines. Y equals 4x minus 1 and y equals -1/4 x plus 3. This first line start at -1 with a slope of 4/1. And now the second line, start at 3 with a slope of -1/4. And we can see that these lines are indeed perpendicular. That is, they intersect and they intersect at 90 degrees. And the thing from the equation that makes them perpendicular is their slopes. These are negative reciprocals because the first slope is 4/1. The second slope is -1/4, which is flipped as a reciprocal, and then the sign is changed to negative. Let's do an example of determining whether lines are parallel or perpendicular or neither. So given these two lines, to determine if they're parallel, perpendicular, or neither, we first need to know their slopes, because if they're parallel, they're going to have the same slope. If they're perpendicular, they're going to have opposite reciprocal slopes, and if they're neither, they're going to have neither one of those things. So to see the slopes, let's get these equations into slope-intercept form. For this first equation, that means adding 6x to both sides, because we're trying to isolate y. That would give 4y equals 6x plus 4, and then dividing by 4. Then we have the equation y equals 6/4x plus 4/4, which we can simplify to y equals 3/2x plus 1. So that's equation 1 in slope-intercept form. Let's do the same with equation 2. We need to isolate y, so subtract 9x from both sides. That would give -6y equals -9x plus 24. Divide both sides by -6, and we get y equals -9/6 over -6x plus 24 over -6. This simplifies to y equals -3 divides into the numerator and denominator. So that simplifies to 3/2x, and then 24 divided by -6 is -4, so -4. So these are our two equations, y equals 3/2 x plus 1 and y equals 3/2 x minus 4. Looking at the slopes, we have 3/2 and 3/2. Since it's the same slope, that means that our lines are parallel.